Hey there, CBA land. It's Joshua, Marketing Ninja. Guys, I got a special webinar for you. Pre-approved, ready for broadcast. I'm going to go over the specific dialogues for the events based on the ultimate marketing course, with a few of my own little pepperings in there of things that I do differently. That's just the same, but just a couple little tips. Okay. Um, so I want you guys to really own this verbatim. Okay. You cannot deviate from what this says and what this goes over. So with this being on a recording, you don't have much of an excuse to be able to say, oh, I didn't know what they were. They're on there, and this will be recorded, and this will be posted up. Okay. So the nickname I gave that is for the grabber. Okay, this would also just be the person going over the stress survey with the person at the event. All right, and so I'm gonna make that just a little bigger. There we go. Move it over here. Okay, cool. So let's get into this. So this now, after they've done the stress survey, after they've gone over this, that they've filled it out, this is the next step. So the next step after they're done with the survey is for you to read back to them the symptoms that they circled in a way that does not sound scripted or rehearsed. So read it to them as if you were reading it to yourself under your breath, just loud enough so that they hear it. Alright, Mike, you all set? Yeah. Oh, perfect, man. Take a look here. Back pain, tense across top shoulders. Headaches, migraines. Like that, guys. You can probably barely hear me, so turn your volume up if you couldn't. But that's the tone that you want that to be. You don't want that to be that way. And so, moving right along here. So exactly what I did, except I didn't do the acknowledgement. So the only thing comes after. Let's see. So neck pain, low back pain, headaches, arm pain, and numbness in your little baby toe. Wow, that's a lot. And then go back to looking at the symptoms. So you look at the symptom, or look at the survey. That's a lot after you read through them all. You gotta give that acknowledgement of that being a lot of stuff. Okay? Here comes the first part of the question. Now I'm going to give you a variation of this for if somebody already wrote in what they wanted to get rid of. So on the stress survey, it has a place for them to write, if you could get rid of one of these symptoms, which one would it be? And they write it in. Okay? So you always ask this. So if you could choose just one of those to get rid of, which would you choose? Now it's slightly different than what it would say on the stress survey. So you're not reading exactly what it says on the stress survey. This is like pointing that as a question. So if they did not circle if they did not write in what they want to get rid of, you ask it this way. So if you could choose just one of those to get rid of, which would you choose? If they wrote it in, I ask, so if you could choose just one of those to get rid of, it'd be the headaches? Yes. I want their acknowledgement that that's what they want to get rid of. I want them to confront and confirm that that's the one that they want to get rid of. And then they answer, and you say, yeah, headaches aren't fun at all. True, real, genuine acknowledgement. But has to be negative. It has to be a reaction that your reaction has to communicate that those symptoms are not fun, they're not normal, they're not okay, they're not part of life, they're not something that we just have to deal with, or anything like that. So now you'll ask them a few questions about the symptom. this is important to ask them. Do not deviate from this. Verbatim, word for word, specific with these. Do not change it. Do not add. Do nothing with them. Okay? They're all for a reason. So, when was the last time you had your headaches? Or headache? What were you doing when you when you got your headache? How many days per week do you get your headache? And that takes headaches. How many years have you been getting headaches? Or how many years have you been getting your headaches? Whatever symptom that they indicated that they want to get rid of is the one you put in those blanks. Okay? So again, you cannot deviate from these. You must say these exactly as they're said. The only thing here that you could add is had your, or how many years have you been getting your, and then the symptom. So your could be put right there. That'd be about it. Alright? This right here is the reason that they're not going to show up. If you don't during this section show them it's not normal, get them to confront it, they will not come in, they will reschedule, they will blow it off, they will do something else, because there's no burning desire for them to figure out what's causing it, because they continue to still believe that it's normal. So if after the event you didn't communicate to them and make it clear that it's not normal and they didn't buy into that, doesn't matter what you do from that point on. They didn't get it because they don't think it's they think it's normal still. Okay? So you have to make sure that these are in. Alright? So here's some verbiage after that. So it's important to give them strong acknowledgments after they answer each question. An acknowledgement is an appropriate way to let someone know that you have heard and understood what they said. Do not say okay after they tell you. This subconsciously says to them that it's okay to have that symptom, or it's okay to have it that much, or it's okay to be getting it during that activity. It is a no-no. Right? The way that I break that for me is I pause after they answer and I say, I understand. So let's say that I'm going to go through all 4 questions real quick, just like somebody's answering. I'll be both people. So when's the last time you had your headache? Oh, about 3 days ago. I understand. So what were you doing when you last got your headache? Sitting at my desk at work. Gotcha. So how many days per week do you get your headaches? Probably 4 times a week. Wow. That's 208 headaches a year. That's a lot of headaches. How many years have you been getting headaches? Probably 4 years. Wow, Mike, that's 832 headaches in 4 years. That's not normal. So I didn't say the I understand because it went right into the fact that I needed to do a negative acknowledgement on those. Okay, so more detailed things on that are coming up. In fact, I'm going to teach you guys how to get to the numbers in your head very quickly in the moment. Okay, I've been on consulting, and whenever they have questions whenever there's an issue with the dialogues, there are 2 things I'm noticing. One, these questions are not being done verbatim and word for word, or they're being skipped, or whatever, or the acknowledgement isn't proper. And the big one that I've noticed, which I shouldn't have put in order number 3, but they're not hitting the numbers. They're not marketers in general. They're not going through and saying to them, that's this many per year, this many in the number of years you've had it. This is key and so important to getting them ruined to the fact that it is not a normal thing to have these symptoms. Okay? Objections will come up, but you must hit the numbers with them. So, my example I just went through. So after question 3, how many years or how many days per week do you get your headaches? I'm going to say to them, wow, that's blank, blank in 1 year. I'm going to tell them exactly what number that is if it were in 1 year. And I give you the cheat sheet on this as well, okay? Because this has been a fundamental thing that I've been putting in for marketers, and every time I do this on a debug call, their next events go a lot better because they're able to hit those numbers, okay? And then after number 4, how many years have you been getting it? Then I add that together, and now I tell them how many headaches, or how much low back pain, or whatever, how many times in the number of years that they've been saying they get the symptom. I'm going to tell them how many that is in that number of years. So in this example, I did 4 times a week, which is 208 in 1 year. And then I asked them, number 4, how many years have you been getting headaches? They said to me, 4 years. Now I'm going to need to multiply the 208 times 4 in order for me to get this 832 down here. Okay? So that's exactly what's happening in that. So number per year, number of times in 4 years, right there. As that in that example, for 4 times a week and 4 years. So notice I said, wow, that's 832 headaches in 4 years. That's not normal. No matter what they say, keep that firm. Okay? Well, we're breezing through this. I didn't think I'd get through this that quick. But if you guys have any questions on any of this, go ahead and put it in. Don't hesitate to jump on in there. Because right now I just got a couple acknowledgments that you guys could hear and see me from the beginning. So if you guys have any questions on this, let me know. But that's okay. We'll have plenty of time to be able to do some role playing if you guys need to after the webinar is over and things like that. But so here's an example of kind of when they get a here's a good example of an acknowledgement. This is when they get them twice a week, just whatever they've said. A good acknowledgement that must be terrible, or I'm really sorry to hear that, or that's no good. Something like that. That could be whatever you guys want it to be. It's just got to be genuine from the heart that you care about them, and an acknowledgement that communicates it's not good. Okay? That's important. So a good question came in. What if there are no symptoms checked? If they haven't circled anything, then actually let me hold on to that, because the next couple slides I'll be able to bring that up then, and that'll be a good time to bring it up. So I will hold on to that and just for a couple more slides, so it'll make more sense. Okay? And here's the deal though too. Your tone must communicate care and concern for them, is what I meant to put there, not the schedule. Okay? If at the grabber dialogue you're thinking about closing them, you're out in tension. You're not focused on them, you're not focused on showing them you care, and you're not focused on showing them that the symptoms they have are not okay. You're just intellectually thinking about the dialogue, thinking, oh good, I gotta get this person scheduled. Wrong time to be thinking about getting them scheduled. If you're both the grabber and the closer, think about closing them when you're at the close with them, not before. Okay? Really important there, guys. Alright. So here is my little setup on how to figure out how many times in a week and how many times in the number of years they're getting the symptom, okay? So this right here is how many times, so you look at this arrow. This right here is how many times in 1 week that they say. Oh, sorry about that. Back up here. This is what this is showing. So this column here is the number of times per week that they tell you they're getting their symptom. And then this section, this column right here is how many times in 1 year that they're going to get that symptom based on the number of times per week they told you. So 2 times a week is 104 headaches a year. 3 times a week is 156 headaches. 4 times a week is 208 headaches. 5 times a week is 260 headaches. 6 times a week is 312 headaches. And 7 times a week is 365 headaches. One for every day of the week. I have had people tell me this, and they still believed it was normal. All right. Now, this over here is communicating how I figure out these numbers here. Okay? Because there's 52 weeks in 1 year. Right? So if there's 52 weeks in a year, then I'm going to have to multiply these numbers here on the left-hand side of this column times 52 to get the numbers that are here on the right side of the column. What I've done here is I've simply separated the 50 from the 2 to create a visual diagram on how to do this in my head. Visually, this is what I'm looking at in my head, and I can get there right away with the number per week because I have these memorized, but it's only because of doing this multiplication in my head that I have them memorized. It's not because I sat there and figured it out and memorized in this way. It was because of these diagrams right here. So you just plug in the number per week right here. So in this example, the example I gave in the dialogue beforehand, 4. This had 4 in it. Alright? So I'd put the number 4 there. And that would, then I'd multiply that out, and it would give me 208 times in 1 year. Okay? And then the next set of this is taking the number of years that they said they're getting the symptom and putting that in there. And then what goes in these bottom sections here is the number in 1 year separated out. So for the 208 example, 200 is going to go right here, 8 is going to go here, and they told me they've been getting the headaches for 4 years. So it's going to say 4, 200, and 8. And I'm going to multiply and add. So the next slide shows exactly how I did this. But essentially, you're going to cross multiply and put the number that you get from that multiplication right here. Same thing on this section. Put that right here. Then you're going to add those two numbers back together, and that'll give you the number that you need. All right? So here's the next thing completed. So see, this is the number of times per week. So I've got 4 times a week that this person said to me. No matter what, that first section is going to be multiplied by 52, and this will be the setup right there. Okay? That's going to be the setup, because you're always going to multiply that number by 52. So the x's here are for multiplication. 50 times 4 is 200. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to add those numbers back together, and I'm going to get 208 headaches in 1 year. Or I'm going to get 208 symptoms, or that symptom that many times in 1 year. This next section is what it would look like after they've told me. So this is question number 3. How many times per week do you get your headache or headaches? How many times per week do you get your headache? Or how many days a week do you get your headache? Over here, how many years have you been getting your headache or headaches? How many years have you been getting headaches? Okay? Because I already found out over here that 4 times a week is 208 in 1 year. So now over here, they told me 4 years. Now that 208 is what goes in this bottom section. And I've separated it out. So if this was 100, if this was 3 times, so there'd be 150 and 6. Okay? If it was the 260, which is 5 times a week, it'd be 260, or I'm sorry, 260 right here. And so on. 365 would be 300 right here and 65 right here. So question coming in, if they say that they've been getting headaches since they were 12, then you need to like skip, do not pass go, do not collect $200 and get them scheduled on the spot. I wouldn't even, I mean, I'd give them a massage, but I would like flip out on them in a good way. But to figure out that number, you have to know how old they are. So that would not work in this example at all. But if they said since they were 12 and they were 40, then it'd be that number of times. You can still figure out the number of times per week. So they say 4 times a week. Okay? You know that's 208 1 year. They say since they were 12, then just however many years that is. If they're 40 now, then how many years is that? Right? So if they're 400 years, or I'm sorry, if they've been getting it since they were 12 and they're 40, then that's 30 years or 32 years. So it'd be the 32. Just do the first set of numbers. So 32 times the 200. So that's over 30,000. That's what I would say to them. Can I demonstrate our flip out in a good way? Yes. So how many times per week do you get your headaches? Oh, probably 4 times a week. Well, how many years have you been getting headaches? Oh gosh, probably since I was 12 years old. Okay, and this says here that you're 40 now. So 32 years you've had headaches 4 times a week? That's insane. That's exactly what I would do. There you go, thank you, 6,400. So it'd be 28 years in 6,400. So yeah, that'd be my flip out in a good way. To be genuine. That is insane. That's a lot. That's not cool. That's not normal. That's way too many to be having for that long. Okay, so yeah, that'd be the number there. Okay? But whatever number they get, now I haven't had many people tell me since I was 12 or since whatever. They've told me the years. And most of the time, I've gotten 10 years and I've gotten 12 years before. From the top of my head, I don't remember having anything more than 10 to 12 years that people have told me. But I try to get in the ballpark with them. I try to get to just about what that would be. Now, the cool thing is, let's say that you can't get to this second number, because let's say you're in a pinch and you're stressing out or something. Well, when you set up this visual diagram in your head, and let's say that this was the number I was on and I couldn't quite get to the exact specific number, then instead of saying, wow, Mike, that's 832 headaches in 4 years. That's not normal. Then I would say, Mike, that's over 800 headaches in 4 years. That's not normal, right? So I would just do that first number and tell them that's over this much. So in those examples of when they give you a lot of years, that's what I would do. I just plug the years in here in my head, right? And then whatever the number per year that they're getting that symptom is still here. And I just do that first set of multiplication to get to this number here, and then tell them that's over this much. That's what I do if they give me something that I don't normally get. The way that you want to keep this in, is by practicing different sets of numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go back up a second here. Go to this one. On a sheet of paper, just practice different scenarios. 2 times a week. So first of all, practice all these columns in this diagram right here until you can memorize them and do them in your head and get there. Memorize them here is going to only be there once you can not be rattled. But when you're still rattled at the event, if you're nervous, it'll be harder for you to get there. So it's real important to just plug in the number from the left-hand columns right here, and just practice variations of this written out. Yes, you're going to go back to math class, okay, but if you want to be proficient at getting the ruin with the people, with the numbers, this is how you're going to be able to do it. Okay? And then once you kind of get those down, then practice different scenarios, like three times a week for 5 years, or 4 times a week for 5 years, or 3 times a week for 6 years, or whatever. And practice writing that out and figuring that out based on those examples that I've given you. Okay? So what's going to happen is, let's say they got the 208 1 year. That could say 6. That could be a 6 right here. And then, so what's 6 times 200? I'm actually going to ask you guys that. What's 6 times 200? So 6 times 2 is 6 times 2 is what? And then add 2 zeros. Yep. 6 times 2 is 12, add 2 zeros. That's right, 1200. So 1200 is right here now. Good. 1200 goes where this 800 is in this example. Now what's 6 times 8? I always have to remember it that way. 6 times 8 is 48. Right. Yeah. Now I've got 1200 plus 48. That person has had 1248 headaches in 6 years. That's not normal. See how that works? So 7. 1400 would be right here. 8 times 7 is 56. 1456 headaches in 7 years. Took me 4 seconds. Except for the way that I botched that one before, which was just kind of funny. So, he threw me a curveball there with since I was 12. So, plug in any number, right? 8. 8 times 2. 8 and 8 is 16. 1600. 8 times 8 is 64. 1864. When you practice this is called a mnemonic. This is like, that word means like a way to, a catalyst to learning is a way you could think of that. And these visuals are what I can do in my head in the moment to get to the exact number. I've been on several consultations, and I'll have people give me the number. I'll role play with them and have them just give me random sets, and I'll tell them exactly what that number is. But if I can't get there to the exact number, then I do that. Well, that's over 1600. So if we go back to the 8, that's over 1600 headaches in 8 years. That's not normal. Your tone has to communicate that's not okay. All right. So once they answer the last question, you want to give them a strong acknowledgement, like, wow, that's 700 headaches in the past 6 years. That's not normal. Now, that's not any example that we've done. This is just an example of what that communication would be like. And then you pause. Here's where we're going to transition them to the massage therapist. So the question earlier about what to do if they don't circle anything, I ask them these questions right here first. I say, so what kind of massage do you like? Light, medium, or firm? Firm. Great. Any focus areas for the therapist? Oh, my neck. So why there? It's just really tight all the time and kind of bothers me. Great. Can you do me a favor and circle neck pain and tension across the top shoulders? Actually, I'd say, so go ahead and circle those. I'd say go ahead and circle headache, or go ahead and circle neck pain and tension across the top shoulders. And then I'm going to back up, and I'm going to do the 4 questions about one of those symptoms that they want to get rid of. So if they don't circle anything, I ask them the massage question, and then ask them why they want the focus there, and then I go back and I read through I do the questions again for them. If they don't circle for them. But they need to stink and write it themselves. They need to confront circling that, because that's saying that they have that and they deal with that. If they don't do it, then they're not truly confronting it. But there's a lack of control there on the part of the marketer if that continues to happen. But it's like pulling teeth trying to work with somebody. And I'm going to say this one clarification. If after drilling this, role-playing it, getting it in verbatim, hitting all the numbers, handling all their objections, not getting rattled, being perfect, and I mean perfect at this communication, at this dialogue, and you are like trying to pull teeth to get them to do it, after you've become a master of it, and I'm saying that as in not until then you'd be able to mark that stress survey with a big fat NQ, give them their massage and send them packing, and maybe give them a coupon for an introductory massage that they can call and schedule because they're not ready yet. But you're not going to know if they're not ready until you've become a master of these communications and become a master of the objections that you have to handle and truly getting them to confront the symptoms. If you can't do that yet, then you cannot go ahead and just have the intention of marking it NQ. Okay? NQ means not qualified, by the way. You would just mark it NQ, saying they're not qualified because they don't have an interest, and then you would go on after that. A screening event rather than a massage event is exactly the same at this point. Whether it's a screening or whether it's a massage, you go over the stress survey the same way, and you close them the same way, except that you add a little bit in there about what the screening found. Same thing, which I've mentioned to you before. Same exact dialogue, except you're not going to ask the massage, of course. The only part that would not be in would be this massage question. That's it. You would replace your acknowledgement with, all right, let's get you scanned. All right, let's get some pictures, or something like that. So, wow, that's 700 headaches in the past 6 years. That's not normal. All right, so let's get you scanned. Or, all right, let's get some pictures. One of the two. That's the only thing that changes. Which, if you want to know how to do the dialogues for the screening, I did a video on that. It's in the recent marketing webinar section. So go there and you'll find a video on how to do that and how to set it up. Just getting rid of some of these questions I answered. Clean it up. That way I know that if people ask them, then I'll be able to know they're new. Alright. So, again, if they didn't circle anything, I asked them the symptom, I asked them where they want the massage focused, and then I ask them why there, and have them circle the symptom that then brought up. Okay? But in a normal scenario, that's over 700 headaches in the past 6 years. That's not normal. So what kind of massage do you like? Light, medium, or firm? They answer, okay, great. Any focus areas for the therapist? Now, my tone is a little different on this, okay? So the transition from here, that's not normal. So what kind of massage do you like? Light, medium, or firm? I've had people do what I call the record skip. When I get to this, they go, firm. I call it the record skip because I almost see their brain going, you know, it's like skipping like jumping a line on the record. Because I kind of snapped them out of that funky feeling that can be there because of going on the symptom. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Here's a good indicator. If at the end of the dialogues, before you ask them the massage question, if it doesn't feel down tone, and if it doesn't feel like a little bit heavy because of them having the understanding and having the viewpoint that it's not okay, then you haven't done it correctly. They must and I mean must, feel that. If they don't, and it's still lighthearted and all, happy-go-lucky and puppies and roses, there's no acknowledgement to that being a not okay thing. They're just going to continue to blow it off and continue to minimize it. Okay? So we'll have some time for some objections that you guys get a little bit, but we're going to move forward. Okay. So what kind of massage do you like? Light, medium, or firm? Great. Any focus areas for the therapist? They tell you. Now bring them over to the massage therapist and introduce them. Joe, this is Karen, your massage therapist. And then say to the MT, Karen, Joe's been having headaches for the past 4 years and also gets migraines. He wants a firm massage with focus on his neck. Or I know, like how I said he. But it is for Joe. So, yeah. So, Joe wants a firm massage with focus on his neck. Okay? This is the introduction to the therapist. Another example. So Joe's been getting headaches 3 times per week for the past 4 years, and also has tension and tightness in his neck and lower back. He wants a firm massage with focus on his low back. Just an example of what that could sound like, other than the one I gave. Okay? Here's some just pointers, some specific things you need to make sure you're doing. You must communicate that you are about them, and that you don't care, or that you care about them, and that you don't care if they book or not. You cannot be thinking about them scheduling while you're going over the stress survey. Be there, be present, be attentive, and do not deviate from the dialogues. Anything that you allow to be a consideration for why something doesn't go right at the event will stay and continue to be a barrier. If you're going through the dialogue and people are there, who cares? You're not talking to the people that are there waiting, you're talking to the person in front of you. Pull them away if you have to move them away from the crowd if you need to, that's fine. But that's an example, that just kind of popped in there. Be there, be present, be attentive. You can't be thinking about the clothes while you're doing the grabbing or going over the stress survey, whichever way you want to think of that. That won't go right. You'll be out in tension. Alright, here's the other thing. Like I said in the beginning, you must hit the numbers with them or else there will be no awareness or a very weak one that will not result in them having a burning desire to come in and figure out what is causing their symptoms. They just will not need or want to do that. Because you don't confront the fact that it's not normal. When handling objections with people, make sure that you listen for something that you can pull the string on. Somebody says, well, it doesn't really bother me that much. Listen to what that says. That is them admitting that it bothers them, but minimizing it, saying it doesn't bother them that much, but it is them confronting and saying, it does bother me. So I would pull the string on that by saying, so how does it bother you? Because you said it doesn't bother you that much, which means it bothers you. So how does it bother you? So if they're like, blah, 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 while I'm sleeping, pull the string on that while they're sleeping. Ask them some other questions. Well, I just think it's there because I need to change my pillow. Have you changed your pillow before? Yeah. Are you still getting the headaches? Yeah. So then is it your pillow that's causing your headaches because you changed it before? Well, I guess not. So find information, find data, find something. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Find information that you can pull the string on while they're talking and while they're saying certain things, so that you can then bring it back around to generating awareness, generating concern for the symptoms and things like that. Don't listen to their generalities when describing their symptoms. Well, it doesn't bother me that much, or oh, it's not that bad, or well, I've been dealing with it for a long time, or it's just part of life, or I just kind of live with it, or it only hurts when blah. It only da-da-da-da-da. It only hurts when blah just means that when they're doing that, the problem is aggravated. Comes and goes just means the problem's there all the time, and they're doing something, and when they do something to where it shows up, it's just it flaring up. It doesn't change the fact that there's an existing problem there. Otherwise, that pain would not come when gardening, or that pain would not come when fixing their hair, or whatever the case may be. It simply would not be there if it was not. If it was not already an existing problem, then the flare-ups wouldn't be there. So you got to get to the fact that the root problem is that pain is not normal. Headaches, neck pain, all that stuff, not normal, not okay. Doesn't matter how often. It's all a problem. So what if they don't circle very much? Doesn't matter. If they circle one thing, it's still a problem. You don't have to be some genius and figure out exactly what the symptom is and relate that back to chiropractic, not the product. Anything they circle is not okay and not normal, and that's the basis you stand on. Confront their objections without flinching or avoiding. I threw objections into the basic definition of confront. You've got to confront their symptoms without flinching or avoiding. Confront their mindsets. Confront the things that they think or believe in order to gently raise their awareness and get them to see that it is not okay. Handle their minimizations in regards to their symptoms. That's back before. That doesn't bother me that much. It's not that bad. You know, people may laugh when you tell them how many that is in a year and you're trying to do that negative acknowledgement. Ask them why that's funny to them. Is there something funny about headaches 208 times a year? Because it certainly isn't a good thing. To confront doesn't mean some confrontation, emotional outburst, that kind of thing. Just think of it as standing in opposition to or facing without flinching or avoiding. Okay? Because without a proper ruin or showing them and getting them to see and understand that their symptoms are not normal, they will not, and I mean it, they will not show up. Won't happen. There's no burning desire to figure out what's going on. Okay? Now, the next section of this would be the massage therapist dialogue. So for that, to fill in the gap between what I talked about today and what I'm going to talk about next week, which will be the part 2, going over the close, watch the Getting Your Massage Therapist Grooved into the Events video found in the Marketing University, because that's going to explain their section. They can't fix things. They can't work on knots, release knots, do stretches, show stretches, recommend supplements, anything like that. Their job is to point out tight spots and raise awareness. Anything they fix is a reason for them to no longer need to come in for a consultation because they no longer have that specific pain with that knot that's just going to come back 2 to 3 days later after the event, and then you aren't going to be able to get them in. Okay? Just a little bit of a thing at the end of this to really check in with your massage therapist. Make sure that they all watch that video, Getting Your Massage Therapist Grooved into the Events in the Marketing University, and make them agree to that and drill them, role play them, control them on that. Period. Okay? And then next week, again, like I said, we're going to go over the close. So it'll be a part 2 to this. So if you need me, here's my info. There's my email, Joshua at ChiroBizAcademy.com. And to schedule a call at CBA, call the 888 number right there. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to end the recording, but I will hang out for some questions regarding anything we just went over or anything else you got going on. Okay?